Okay class, so punta na tayo sa last part ng discussion natin, yung capital asset pricing model or yung CAPM. Okay, so ano ba yung CAPM or capital asset pricing model? So class, ito yung ginagamit nating model to price an asset using its rate of return. So yan to price an asset using its rate of return. So ang makukuha natin dito, the rate of return. So in the early 1960s, so ito yung history niya, finance researchers developed an asset pricing model that measures only the amount of systematic risk or the risk that we cannot diversify. Okay? Only the amount of systematic risk a particular asset has. So in other words, meron daw kasing investments, okay, when the market is down, meron daw investments na bumabagsak, pero may mga investments na bumabagsak a whole lot more than the others. So syempre, kung mapapansin natin dito, merong unique characteristics yung asset kung bakit mas bumabagsak siya compared to the other assets. Okay? So, ayan daw yung i-consider natin. So, ito yung question bakit itong asset na to mas bumagsak compared to other assets? So, mas responsive ba siya to market changes compared to other assets, and why? So, yan yung focus talaga ng capital asset pricing model. So, if they could measure this variability, the systematic risk, okay, yung risk that cannot be diversified, then we can develop a model to price assets using only this risk. Okay, yon. So, ang iti-take into consideration natin, the systematic risk. So, how about the unsystematic risk? So, syempre, yung company-related risk, irrelevant na yon. Bakit? It could be eliminated by diversification. Yan. So, ang i-consider daw natin, the risk that cannot be diversified, systematic risk. Okay, so, to measure the amount of systematic risk, ano daw, steps? So, syempre, i-regress daw natin. So, papakita ko class yung process nitong regression. So, syempre, iano mo lang naman yan ipa-plot mo lang yung data. The returns for the market portfolio, so yun yung independent variable, and then the returns for an individual asset. Ayan. So, i-compare natin ano ba yung returns sa market and yung return ng specific asset na yun. The slope of the regression line, yan, so rise over run yan. Rise over run, the beta measures an asset's systematic risk or non-diversifiable risk. So ito yung gagamitin natin sa CAPM, yung slope of the regression line. Okay? So in general, cyclical companies like auto companies have high betas. So meaning highly responsive to the market. While relatively stable companies like public utilities have low betas. Okay? So, alam natin yung beta, that is a measure of risk. Specifically, systematic risk or non-diversifiable risk. Okay, so how do we compute for the beta? So, syempre, pakita muna natin yung process ng regression. So, ano kailangan ulit natin, class? The market return, yung return doon sa market of the asset, and then the return of the asset itself. So, parang ito, overall return ng market, and then return ng specific asset na yun. So, ipa-plot natin. Okay? So, plot natin. However, so, syempre, hindi naman yan magfo-form ng straight line talaga. Pag pinlot natin. So, syempre, the closest to a straight line that we could get, so, yun na yung regression. So, i-regress natin. So, itong straight line na to, kukunin mo yung slope. So, yung slope dito, 1.30. Yan na yung beta ng asset S. Okay? So, kung mapapansin nyo, ito, mas steep yung asset S kaysa kay asset R. So, meaning that is higher beta. Mas mataas na slope. Diba? Yun kasi yung slope. So, mas mataas na slope, mas mataas na beta, mas mataas na risk. So, mas mataas yung risk ni asset S compared to asset R. Okay? So, yan. By the way, ayan itong mga nakaplot na points na to, kay asset S lang to. Yung kay asset R, hindi nakaplot, pero most likely, ni-regress din yan. So, yan yung kinalabasan. So, yung slope niya, 0.80. Okay? So, yan yung ating beta. So, how responsive is the asset relative to the market? Yun pala yun. Okay? So how do we analyze the beta? So we have three types. Positive beta, moving in the same direction as the market. Zero beta, so ito no movement at all. And negative beta, moves in the opposite direction as the market. Okay, so for example, we have 2.0, that is a positive beta, that is twice as responsive as the market. So kung may changes in the market of assets, doble yung effect sa asset na yan. Okay? So kung tumaas yung price, doble yung change sa kanya. Kung bumagsak, doble din sa kanya. Okay? So 1.0, same response as the market. Okay? So parang unitary, 'di ba? Unitary yan. Okay? And then 0.5, only half as responsive as the market. So kung may increase, half yung kanya. May decrease, half din yung sa kanya. Okay? Pero tatandaan nyo dito, same direction. Kung increase, increase din. Kung decrease, decrease din. Okay? So kung zero beta naman, that is not responsive or unaffected by the market movement. Kung negative naman yung beta, so let's say negative 0.5, okay? So only half as responsive as the market, but in the opposite direction. So huwag nyo kakalimutan yan. So for example, bumagsak yung market. Okay, kung negative yung beta, tataas yung sa asset na yun. Half. Okay? Tataas yun by half. Okay? So, sana naintindihan nyo yung beta ha. Yun kasi yung measure of risk natin. Okay? So, negative 1.0, same response as the market, but in the opposite direction. And then 2.0, okay? Twice as responsive as the market, but in the opposite direction. Okay? So last kung mapapansin nyo, yun ng beta, measure of risk yan, di ba? So the higher the numerical value, yung absolute value niya, the higher the risk. Kasi mas responsive. Mas responsive sa market, mas risky. Okay? Yun. Next. So the required return for all assets using the CAPM or Capital Asset Pricing Model is composed of two parts, the risk-free rate and a risk premium. So class, pag sinabing risk-free rate, ito yung return on risk-free investments. Meron bang ganon? Parang hindi naman nag-e-exist yung ganon, yung risk-free investment. And a risk premium. Yan. Risk-free rate and risk premium. So risk-free rate, so the risk-free rate is usually estimated from the return on PH government securities, specifically treasury bills. O tama. Bakit siya nasabing risk-free? Kasi si government walang chance of default. 'Di ba? Kasi imposible naman na hindi yan makabayad. Okay? So PH government securities. So kung ano yung return doon, class nakikita yan online sa PDS. Search mo lang yung return on government securities. Okay, so yun yung risk-free rate. Okay? However, hindi naman natin tinatanong yung return doon sa government securities. Ang tinatanong natin yung return on the asset. Okay, yung return, for example, sa stock na bibilhin natin or doon sa portfolio na pag-i-investa natin. Okay, yun yung question eh. So, meron tayong add-on. Diba? Merong add-on kasi class once mag-invest ka sa instruments other than the risk-free rate or risk-free investment, mas mataas yun. Mas mataas ang risk, mas mataas din yung return. So meron kang i-add. Risk-free rate plus the risk premium. So yung risk premium, anong naka-factor in dyan? That is a function of both market conditions and the asset itself. So makikita mo sa risk premium, characteristics of the market and of the asset. Okay?